Hi guys, it's Kelly Latavola here, and I am back with another video. Today we're going to be using some products from Pretty Pink Posh. I am using the Amaryllis and Winter Borders, which is from their newest release, and then the Elegant Holly and Season's Greetings Script Die, which is, I believe, from last year's Christmas release. So just a heads up, some of you are going to be like, that nail polish looks familiar. And you're right, because I had it on in October and now it's December and I never did a video for this card because I was keeping it in wait in preparation for the fact that I would have no time to make anything while I was moving. So anyway, I have laid out my flowers, leaves, holly, to do a 1-layer card. I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my mask. I'm using Eclipse masking paper for this particular card. I like this one. I also like the Scotch tape, masking tape as well. Or if you don't have either, you can do what I used to do, which is make your own with Tombow Mono Multi-Glue, repositionable glue, and copy paper. Still always an option, and I would still use it in a pinch if I didn't have any of the other two, honestly. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp this down. I was cutting the masks off camera, and I'll just put those in place now so that I can do even more stamping. But then I'm also going to need them for doing my background. You guys know with the 1-layer cards, I'm a huge fan of using Distress inks or oxide, some sort of ink blending in the background. This just saves me on Copic ink and also really honestly just gives me a much better blend. Using Copics in large areas can be challenging to blend them out. So typically if I can do my background in an ink blending, usually Distress inks or oxides for a softer look, then I'm going to do that. So I stamped those out, and then I had one more little holly and leaf that I wanted to add here on the left-hand side. Going to stamp those down, and then I will put masks in place for all of those. You'll notice on the bottom there isn't a lot of masks. I'm not worried about it because I'm going to be doing green inking on the bottom and blue inking on the top. The holly is going to be green, as are the leaves, so I'm not super concerned about it. I'll just color right over it. I'm more concerned about the flowers since they're going to be red and that blue. So here is one thing that I will caution you. I did not cut out the full leaf. I only cut out a part of the leaf because it was behind the holly. And I wasn't thinking about the masking on top of the holly. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in just one second. So there's where I notice it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, peel up that mask, and then trim it around that holly leaf so it covers just the leaf I want masked. And then I'm going to go back in and really just hit that one spot hard with the, what is the lightest color I'm using here? And why can't I even think of it? What do I always use? Oh, the Twisted Citron. Wow. It's been a day, y'all. And so I'm just progressively getting darker as it goes toward the edge, using Lucky Clover as my darkest color, and then I always do it twice, just because I feel like it gives me the best color blend. And then I'm going to switch to the sky portion, which is going to be the blues that are like tried and true, and I totally love them. You'll notice when I first start that the inking is not even. It's very splotchy. I was kind of rushing a little bit, and I wasn't taking my time, but also because I'm impatient. It's just real talk. You know, I'm impatient. I also know that my darker colors are going to cover up that top portion, so I don't have a huge ton of concern about how it looks right out the gate. That's not how it's going to look in the end, so it really doesn't matter to me. I know that sometimes we can get caught up in the perfectionism of, card making or anything really DIY. But as long as the end result looks the way that I want it to look, it's okay if it's ugly in the stages. It doesn't bother me any. So again, just doing that twice to make sure I get super saturated color. And then we'll go back in with the Salty Ocean, which is my lightest color, and just blend out those edges, leaving it just a little bit lighter where it meets the green. I wasn't trying to get super heavy-handed there. I'm going to spatter on some just clean water to kind of break up the Distress ink, and then I am also going to bring in some Perfect Pearls. Now, I do want to mention, and I think sometimes I forget to say this just because I do it all the time, and I do it all the time. that I'm not working on watercolor paper. So you want to be aware of how much moisture you're putting on the paper. You don't want to completely saturate. You don't want huge, big droplets because it will cause your paper to pill. Regular cardstock is not meant to hold that kind of moisture. That's why watercolor paper is a whole separate thing. So anyway, spattering on that Perfect Pearls, and then I kind of jumped the gun because I was like, oh, I'm going to remove the mask. It's going to be beautiful. And then I realized I didn't do any of my stamping. So actually what I'm going to do is that winter borders. It has a bunch of really cute little holiday borders in it, but one of them was these snowflakes. And I thought it would be super cute to do like a tone-on-tone look. So I'm using my bigger Misty. This is the original size Misty. I also have a mini. Would recommend, in case you're, looking for Christmas gifts for a crafty friend, would absolutely recommend. That's probably my most used crafty supply is my Misty. And I'm just going to, kind of move it around so it's not all the same. But this just adds some interest and some texture even further into that background. It's hard to see where we are now, but once we're like zoomed in or in the final photos, you'll be able to see that the snowflakes are in fact in the background. And I'm stamping in Salty Ocean. Distress inks do not stamp great. I'm going to be honest with you, but in this instance, it doesn't really matter because it's tone on tone. So them blending into the background isn't like a huge deal. So once that is all done, here, like doing this last one, I did not re-ink it at all. I'm just using what's left on the stamp, which is called second generation stamping, just to give a very, very light impression. So now we're going to remove all the masks, and this is where the magic happens. So that you can see, there's like this little field of, holly and amaryllis, and then we're going to move into the Copic coloring. So here, again, zoomed in, you should be able to see those snowflakes in the sky, which I love because I do one layer cards and sometimes it's hard to, make them look interesting. So because these amaryllis are in full bloom, I wanted to give them a more round appearance. So I'm going to be adding shading from the bottom of the petals and then also from the tips. So that the highlight point will be at the broadest part of the petal, which makes them look more round. This is my usual go-to red combination. It's an R32, an R35, an R29, and an R59. They aren't close together on the color scale, but they do blend well together to give like a really dimensional red because that shadow color is so dark. And then I'm just using the flicking motions that I usually use. You want to be very light-handed, using just the tip of your marker, flick towards the center of the petal, and then whichever way you're coming from, whether you're coming from the tip or you're coming from the base, you want to flick towards the center, and then just try to vary your strokes, the length of your strokes, so you don't get what I call the wall of color. So yeah, as far as story time goes, this whole week has just pretty much been spent cleaning the rental. So that was one of the, I guess, probably the part that was making the moving the worst was all of the cleaning. So we had to clean this house in order to move into it. Because you don't want other people's germs and yucky and all that stuff. So we went through and thoroughly cleaned, like baseboards, cupboards, the whole deal. Well, then because I was renting a house and I wanted to get my security deposit back, also in my lease, which I did double check because at one point I thought about, just letting it go and letting them keep the security deposit. In my lease, it said that they could charge me more. They could charge me over what my security deposit would cover. And then when I told them I was moving out, they sent me this like little check-in or check-out sheet. And like the things on there were outrageous. Like if somebody had to come clean the stove, it was going to be like $140. Can you even imagine if somebody paid you $140 to clean your stove? I mean, honestly. So, it was just really, the payments were obnoxious. And so there was a few things that were cause for concern, things that they didn't fix correctly. So the carpet being one of them. There was a window in my craft room that the water was leaking in and the paint was bubbling. And when they came to fix it, they only replaced the wood around the window. They never replaced the window, so the paint was still bubbling underneath it, and you could see like the water streaking the paint. What else was there? There was just some things that they didn't fix right. Oh, the linoleum. I'm assuming it's mold. The mold on the linoleum in the bathroom. They never even had anybody fix that. They had like 3 different people come out to look at it and suck up, my entire day off. But then nobody even came to fix it. So I had printed out all of the work orders that I had ever submitted for this inspector to come look at. So I had my inspection on Friday, but all week long. So Eric went over there before work on Monday and did the shower, the sink, in my bedroom. Then Tuesday Tuesday just didn't happen. Wednesday, my mom and I went over there, and I thought I was going to have to paint Nathan's bedroom because he had wrote on the wall, very sweetly, "I love you, Mom." But he had written on the wall, and then he had also gotten a hold of one of my adhesive tape runners and like put it on the wall when you first walked in his room. So I was like, great, I'm going to have to paint this for sure. And then I had 3 sets of blinds that were broken from Peanut playing with them. So, my mom had this great idea to try, Gooby Gone. I was worried it was going to stain the paint. So we were trying the magic eraser. That didn't work. So she put like a little bit of the Goo Gone on just like a washcloth and rubbed it on the wall, and then went back with the magic eraser, and sure enough, it took it off. So that was awesome. We did not have to repaint. Oh, there was a hole in the wall too, from where their doorstop didn't work, and the door opened and it made an impression, just the size of the actual lock, like where it sticks out from the doorknob. So I just went to Home Depot and got one of those little wall protectors, smacked that right over it, moved on with my life. But so then Wednesday, I did the craft room. My mom did the living room and the kitchen. And then she did the sticky thing on Nathan's wall. And I fixed the carpet to the best that I could. It was not great, but it didn't look any worse than their patch job. Then Thursday, I went over there, did the rest of the bathroom, Peanut's room, and the hallway. I was going to go back Friday morning before the inspection and sweep out the garage, but Eric actually did that for me while I took Nathan, me and his dad took him to dinner with Santa on Thursday. So when I got home on Thursday, I was so exhausted. I was so tired. I was like, my feet hurt. I'm so sleepy. I've been having to get up so early and do all of this cleaning, and I just am exhausted. And then it occurred to me that my mother had done exactly the same thing. She is almost twice my age, did exactly the same thing that I did. On Monday and Wednesday? No, yes. Anyway, multiple days. She came over here to help me unpack one of those days. She helped us clean this house out so that we could move in, and like never once complained, like not a single complaint. And I was sitting on my couch like complaining for, I don't know, probably like a good 20 minutes about how tired I was and how I was so tired of having 2 households and having to clean everything and blah, 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 blah. And like, here's my mom, this total rock star, never complaining, nothing about having to do it for households that aren't even hers. You know what I mean? And she's still cleaning her own house. And she would, I would tell her thank you and I appreciate it. And her response is, well, I want to make your life easier. I want to help you because I love you. And just like, so if we could all just give like mad kudos to my mom for just being awesome, because I seriously would not have been able to do this move without her. I have no idea how I would have done any of it because she was so awesome. And we had a ton of help from our families, period. When we moved in, or I'm sorry, when we got the keys, we came over here to clean, and don't mind my phone. I thought I turned it on vibrate. That's my bad. But like, my sister came over here and painted. The first day that the first load we were moving in to the house, actually, Kim came over with the first load and pretty much had everything unpacked before we even got to the house. My sister Michelle came over, and her boyfriend, and Eric's mom came over, and just like so many people came over and helped us, and we're just super, super blessed. So yeah, that's that. To the card. So I wanted it to look like it was snowing on these little amaryllis. And so what I did is watered down a little bit of white acrylic paint, and you want a stiff bristled brush for this. I had one at one point that I had got, like, that was my son's. It was like a little plastic brush, but you want stiff bristles to get that finer mist. And then for the bigger snowflakes that I wanted, I'm just going to go in with my white gel pen. For the sentiment, I cut a bunch of the Season's Greetings script die in white, and then I'm just going to layer these on top of each other. I'm using the Hero Arts liquid glue. I really like this one. I think I've told you before, Gina K and Lawn Fawn both have really good ones. And they're just a little bit easier to get in there, those small areas with. So super like those. I'm going to stack all of these on top of each other. I cut 3 each. There's your little not to do. Don't do this over your card, because if you drop it, then you're going to get glue on your card like I did. Thankfully, none of the glue stuck, but if it had, I would have used my adhesive eraser to get it off, just in case you do. Eric would laugh at that because he'd say I said do. Isn't that funny? Anyway, in case you do what I just told you not to do. So now they're all stacked together, nice and neat, and they just have a little bit more weight to them being stacked up. And I'm just going to glue these down flat over my little night sky there. And then I'll do the greetings the same way. This is 3 stacked together. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in life, is just, now that we're done with the rental, which, by the way, the inspector was lovely, and she said everything looked great. We should have no problem getting the security deposit back, which will be wonderful. But I'm so glad it's done. Like, not to have 3 households right now is really rather amazing. So now it's just finishing unpacking what's here and getting it into its proper place. It probably wouldn't be taking so long if I wasn't trying to sort through things as I was unpacking them, but I am trying to get rid of anything that I don't need or want. Now here I am just gluing on some rhinestones. I think they're I forgot the name of them now. I think they're the pearl white. They're the ones that aren't like a true white. Yeah, they're pearl white jewels. They have a little bit of color to them when the light hits them. And then I'm using some glitter on the flowers and the berries. And then that's it. That's the whole card. So hopefully we'll be back to card making sometime this week, now that things are getting back in order and Eric's got my shelves hung for me for my lighting. And that's it. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.